Welcome everybody to the Crystal Crawford Show. You know me. You might not know Julie, and if you don't, now you do. Julie, I didn't do any research. Tell me about you. Like,
Oh, I love it. Well,
here's what I know about Julie. I'm going to tell. Here, you go.
well, I guess funny, like coming up to this conversation, it's like the best thing that ever happened to me. I broke my arm about a year ago, fell off a horse, and immersed myself into Access. And 2 months before I fell off the horse, I started doing the clearing. Would you be willing to live the energy of what you would like your life to be so it could show up for you? And then, like 60 days later, broke my arm. And talk about never shows up how you think it will. But like it was kind of like a really amazing beginning of like a completely different life. Um,
Well, and I want to fill you guys in and let you know that what we're going to talk about today is the power of asking, what would you like your life to be like? And for those of you guys that don't have a lot of experience with this or you want more exposure to this, I'm going to encourage you to go to theawareness.challenge.com because that's where I sort of gamified this one clearing from Right Riches for You that you do out loud with your mouth hole 30 times a day for 30 days and you start to get this really massive awareness. But this was also the question that I really started to ask to get things moving and like teach myself how to create my life. And Julie reached out to me and she's like, oh my God, you're so inspiring, which thank you, by the way. Can't we have a conversation about this? And I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. So Julie, where do we start with this? This is huge.
I guess it's interesting. So it's like when I first saw you in person, like in 2019, Shannon O'Hara did a body class in Calgary where I live. And it's so cool watching how people grow and change and access. And it's like, even back then I said to my buddy who I was sitting beside him, like, Crystal Crawford's here. Crystal Crawford's here. And it's like, even then, I recognize this presence in people that when people have done a lot of bars, a lot of money book, and a lot of asking this question, it's like, it's palpable to me. And it's like, holy shit, I would like that too. Thanks. So I guess it's like, yeah, where should we start?
What do you want to know first? Well, I mean, I guess, when you said all of that to me, and it struck me that once you start to engage in like the creation of everything, you lose track of where you came from, and you kind of lose track of like what got you here. And so, what do you want to know about? Because there were so many different facets to this.
Like the question, and that's the thing. It's like with asking, what would you like your life to be like? Most people don't even know. Like I know where I do my classes, I have a big wooden plaque on the wall that says, "What would you like your life and living to be like?" And it's almost like it kind of is like it fries people's circuits. It's like they never, like, oh my God, I can even ask this. And I guess
Yeah.
and how with access tools, the ease that like how complicated I made asking that question. And it's really not complicated at all. It's like you just get the energy of something you would like in your life and you just pull energy into it. And it's like I I made it so complicated.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now with all
I
these now with all these PR and NOR clearings, I've been doing like, wow, how many PRs and NORs do I have about like what life creation is? And one of these videos that I was watching that you did, it was one where what was you were talking about like what in your life requires a pivot in order for it to work better. And I thought that was so cool because in one of a part of that video, you were talking about how you did this reel about, like trusting yourself and blah, blah, blah. But it was one of the least purchased things in your shop. And then someone had a question about like, well, I would like to trust myself more. And then you're like, well, where do we learn not to trust ourselves? Like, do you come into this world like not trusting? It's like, who do you learn all that shit from, right? And then it got to thinking, it's like, so, okay, family, of course, family, your significant, insignificant other, all that. But I'd never really thought about, like, wow, who did I learn to create my life from? And it's like, wow, like, cool that I'd never
yeah,
even
yeah.
realized that. So it's like,
Yeah. Well, okay. So, yeah, to break it down, like we don't learn how to create our life, like, period. I don't know. I have never met anybody that got an education on here's how you create your life. These are the questions you want to ask yourself so that you can stimulate awareness because now you're the source of everything. And moving forward, you're going to depend on you. And so here's how you trust yourself and listen to yourself. So start paying attention to the subtle energies. And, you really want to strengthen your knowing and your perceiving and your receiving because that's what you're going to depend on as you leave the nest. You're not going to actually thinking doesn't really work too well. Emotions are pretty flawed. So I don't want you to depend on those. What I want you to do is start to really listen to the energies, and here's how does energy show up for you? For the next 2 weeks, we're just going to study like how that works for you. I want you to report back. That's your homework. That is the school we should have been sent to.
No.
But instead we were taught geometry. And so, like we get to this. So for me, I got to where I was like 37, I found Access, and I've told this story before. And all I wanted was to learn how to be happy and have good relationships because those two things seemed to be incredibly elusive for me. And I didn't even think I could make more money. So that wasn't even an ask. And then I learned that I could have anything that I wanted as my life, infinite possibilities. And I felt really overwhelmed because I was really used to choosing from my head. And when you choose from your head, you are overwhelmed because you can't fit infinite in a head. You can be infinite though, and you can choose from infinite possibilities. What will my life be like if I choose this? What will my life be like if I choose this? But who the fuck shows you that? So a lot of what this is when we first start is this big unschooling experience of like unlearning everything that we learned that got us into this kind of trapped, stuck position where we're trying to create our life, but we literally have no idea how. Like we have received no information on it. Wow. So this question was key to me. And honestly, I don't think I started with this question. I started with I think I've told this story before, but like with 3 things. Like I knew I wanted travel independent. Like I knew I wanted to be able to make money from anywhere. I knew I wanted to travel to go to Access classes, and I think that was those 2 things. And I wanted to do something that changed the world and changed people's lives. Those are really 3 things.
Yeah.
And how I was going to get there, how I was going to actualize that, I had no idea. I didn't even have the word actualize in my awareness. But what I did have was an insane work ethic, the willingness to fuck it up, and the unwillingness to live without it. I just knew I was going to have life the way that I wanted it. And it's not that I stayed steady all the way through, because you don't. None of us are that. You're a general upward trend, but these moments still happen. But I just knew I had to have something different as my life. And I think we underestimate the power of needing something different and pulling that into your world via your choices and just the energy that you're being.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. No, amazing. And funny, even coming up to this chat, it's like, wow, did I ever even really acknowledge that the energy of asking you to even do this, it matched what I would like my life to be like? And I'm like, holy shit, should probably acknowledge that, puppy. It's like, how cool.
Very cool.
I guess for me, so it's like I've been doing bars for 93 something days in a row. I think I'm going to go to 100 and see if my head explodes.
That is delicious.
But it's like, Crystal, watching the last couple of videos that you've done and just other stuff, it's what else is possible in a sense of the action that is required? Because it's I've done so much body work, so many clearings, and it's there's not one magical clearing that's going to choose your life and take the action for you. So it's this is where I'm at, is actually discovering how much more fun I can have taking action and actualizing the stuff that I'm asking for. So
yeah. And I, about 6 or 8 months ago, I was asking for something totally different with my business. And the thing about when you start to ask for something, many times you kind of have an idea of what you mean by that, and that is never the way it shows up. So we are living in Colombia now, and I really made a big demand, and my partner too is really interested in building a bars business. So we made this big demand, and we're going to introduce the whole southern part of Colombia to bars, And so we've probably done about 300 tasters. We had a corporate event with like 50 people. It's been really, really cool, but it hasn't shown up the way that we thought. And I think this is important to note because we could stop at the point where like, oh my God, look at what we did. But there's also this other part where it's like, now there is a lot of people down here exposed to bars. There's not a lot of people choosing to learn bars. And so it's just more action is required. Yeah. Because the thing you think, I mean, I was like, of course people are going to have their bars run and go choose a class.
Daddy.
You know?
Daddy here, come on. Yeah.
Yeah. So it takes, so I guess that's important because it takes what it takes. It's going to take, I have to turn my fan on, I'm like melting. Here, welcome to being 47. That's a whole other show. So it just takes what it takes for something to grow. And so when I recognized that this was more like winter wheat. If you look at, building something like crops, winter wheat is this crop where you plant it and you literally see nothing for like 3 years. Like nothing. It's a blank ground. Like if you didn't put a sign there that said there's something planted here, somebody would dig it up thinking there was nothing there. And then on year 3, it does this thing where it like crops up and you have this immense harvest. So some things are, so this, what we're doing here is like winter wheat. It's going to take 2 to 3 years of just being persistent and consistent with, tomorrow he's going and doing more tasters. He's reaching out to these co-working spaces and starting to do stress relief workshops. So it's going to take what it takes for it to just go bloop. But everything at some point reaches the tipping point. And so when it comes to taking action and instituting what you're aware of, now instituting this joy that you have with what you've discovered, what's required is persistence and patience and the willingness to just get it wrong and keep going. But I can tell you that creates everything right there. As long as you have like willingness and persistence, you can't fail.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. So it's like,
so keep going.
Yeah, exactly. There's one awesome video that you did. It was probably months ago, and for whatever reason, I didn't catch the beginning, and then the part that I caught was like life changing, because it was where you're showing your new apartment. I don't know if it was in Cali, and you're like, this is the power of asking what you would like your life to be like.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. When we moved here, so we're living in Colombia now, and it was quite the journey to get here. But when we moved here, I looked around one day and I recognized that I had everything that I'd ever asked for. I don't know when this was. I think this was pre-access consciousness. I remember asking, what would it be like to have a driver? What would it be like to have a full-time driver? Be a princess. And living in North America, I mean, that would be a thing. Like, you would be making big money to have a driver. What would it be like to have a personal chef? What would it be like to, I don't even know. The apartment that we live in is like open all the time, so it's facing a mountain. I was asking to live near a mountain, and I didn't know there were mountains in Colombia. So our apartment actually opens to the mountains, and our doors are open all the time because it's like perpetual spring here. What would it take to have an apartment that I love that's full of light? Everything here is light. What would it take to, and then my partner is just so caring, like he just takes care of me. He runs errands and he, gets things. And so I have this kind of constant support. But it's like I looked around and every single thing that I'd ever asked for had actualized here. Wow. And it was more than that. I mean, like I've been asking for total receiving and total awareness, and like the whole relationship journey has been gifting me total receiving and total awareness, and now the PRs and the NORs and the NOR slime. And if you don't know what that is, feel free to ask me. It's like every single thing that I've ever been willing to ask for has shown up. So it taught me something that, number one, I wasn't asking enough things. So I've stopped that. Now we ask every day for all kinds of things. But two, that I actually, sometimes, even if you talk about living in a supportive, magnanimous universe, sometimes you don't walk around believing it, Yeah. And so it showed me, I've just been being shown that that's actually true. That whatever it is I'm willing to ask for, whatever it is I'm willing to choose, I have every single molecule of consciousness at my back going, yes, here's this, here's this, here's this. As long as I don't go to conclusion about how it shows up, I can receive how it shows up.
Yeah.
and keep being me in the process.
That's the thing. It never ceases to amaze me, the power of these questions.
Yeah.
And like I said to you, like when I turn my computer on, I have a notification that says like, what would you like your life to be like? It's even in friggin' capitals. It's even in capitals. And a lot of days go by and I never even ask it. So then, and that's the whole thing. If we're not creating our lives, the universe will friggin' create it around us will create it for us. So it's,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
wrong. Just joins.
I think
Yeah.
that's huge. I think that's worth like emphasizing is like if you don't choose to create your life, the people around you will create it for you. Like,
Yeah.
and the thing about humanoids is that we are so aware of everyone else's needs, requires, and desires. I watch this with my partner a lot, that it's almost it can be such an easy default to just like take care of them or take care of what we've committed to, or just kind of to put ourselves on autopilot
Yeah.
doing our life instead of really getting present and going, is this what I really want to be doing? Is this the conversation I really want to be having? Is this like the way I really want to be living? You know, we just don't even stop to ask ourselves that. And then we wonder why, like, we just feel run over by the choices we're making or the life we've created so far, because we literally haven't paused to look at it and go,
What would I
is
like?
this working for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this working for me? What part of this is working for me? What part of this isn't working for me? But it just takes that pause. I mean, could take half a day, could take a day, you know, but
Yeah.
it just takes us pausing and getting present with ourselves to like kind of check in.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess there's a part in the Right Riches book that I absolutely love, and you know where Gary talks about like the energies of what he would like to have in his life. Like he knew
Yeah.
that he would like to expand his life, everyone else's, like never, be with boring
Yes.
people, make $100,000 a year. And I just think it's so brilliant that like if you're not clear on what you would like to have in your life, you're in this nebulous place where the universe can't even contribute to you. And then you end up choosing what everyone else needs, wants, and desires. I totally just spat all over my
Yeah.
computer.
Windex
Yeah.
takes care of everything.
Oh,
Yes.
so it's like just being clear on like, wow, what would I like? And it's not like
Yeah.
significant tally. It's just like, just what would I like?
Yeah, and I actually have a really amazing product in my shop. For those of you guys watching, it's called Getting Clear on the Energy so that your energy pulls can work. It was one call that we did in my Salon de la Conscious membership where we were studying Right Riches for You. And I took everybody through this kind of unintentional exercise of like making a list, but then really taking each person through their list and going, what's the energy of that? And so check it out and see if that would create something for you guys. What ended up occurring was that for a lot of people, they had stuff on their list that they thought they were clear about, but there was no energy to it. And so when we went and looked at the energy of that thing, it wasn't actually the thing that they thought they wanted. It was the energy underneath the thing. And this is the thing, this is the thing. This is the thing we don't really get, and that we're learning. We're learning to become energy articulate. Because what we've learned so far is to be thought articulate. And thoughts thoughts are things, you'll create your thoughts. But if what's showing up in your life is from your thoughts and you don't know like what's showing up in your life and you want to have something different, you've got to get more skilled at getting the energy of what you would like that's different. And a lot of us learn that via learning what we don't want first. So we're like, well, not that, not that, not that. Well, then what? And we're like, because this part requires choice and presence and the willingness for you to be in the world, because for you to know what you want, you got to ask for it. And so it turns out this part is a little more confronting or whatever than we thought. So this is why I love resources like Right Riches for You or the Awareness Challenge from Right Riches for You or that one call, because it gentles us into learning this language that we actually need in order to create something new with our life.
Amen.
So that preach. Yeah.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So a while back, I was cleaning my house, and I think I turned on your YouTube channel, and I literally watched every single YouTube video you've ever done.
Oh my God, there's so many. I think there's 663 videos.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was going along. It was a long time. It was awesome. But it was super interesting because it's like that energy that I got when you were talking about the money book.
Yeah.
and like choosing. So and that's the thing. Out of the course of a day, it's like how much of our day do we spend like bitching, condemning money, resenting money, all this stuff, instead of just grabbing money book and just starting to read it. You know what I mean? But my friend and I, Crystal, we started doing money workbook on December 24th on Christmas Eve, and we did it for about a month. And then my friend Crystal kept doing it, and of course I like petered out a little bit. It's where like max kilter receiving was happening, but it even for the month and a bit that I did do it, and you said in one of your videos that it fundamentally changes how you function with money. And
Yeah.
I totally was not waking up in the morning with like this dire strait of like money paralyzing, crippling energy. So it's like, so I'm choosing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, next week I start, we're going to do the How to Become Money Workbook again. So I've got a 10-week course starting in 2 weeks. So great
It's like,
segue.
where have you been all my life?
Creating
Yeah.
mine and making videos along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so next week actually there's going to be a free taste of the How to Become Money Workbook. For those of you guys listening, just make sure you're connected on Instagram because it'll be all over the stories. And if you want to get on the email list, just head to my website, crystaljoycrawford.com. What I was going to say about this, the How to Become Money Workbook is one of the most transformative money tools in the world, if not the most. And it's so bizarre because it is a transcript of a channeled class that Gary delivered, I don't even know how long ago, 25 years ago, 27 years ago. And when I say channeled, I don't even understand that. What I do know is that a being called Roz was speaking through Gary, and he delivered this class and this facilitation that to this day is one of the most transformative things. And you know, we're going to be breaking up the workbook into 10 weeks when we do it again. When I did it, I went through it, the whole workbook out loud with other people 8 weeks in a row, because that's what I needed. And so it takes like 3 hours to facilitate yourself and really go through the whole thing. But what I discovered is that after a session of the workbook, I so different. I was like space, possibility. I felt powerful. And then I would kind of go back into my life and I would use the tools that he suggests, because at the back of the workbook, there's this one page where here's your tools. And a lot of us kind of just read through it and we don't but I made a PDF of it. I'm like, well, this is my tool, and this is my tool. And I'm going to be listening to myself. Like I got really, which turns out is what changed my life, because different after the workbook, and then I'd go to sleep and I'd wake up again, and again I would be waking up. What are your first thoughts about money when you wake up? Be waking up, my first thoughts were like how much I didn't have and how was I going to try to get more, and so it was pretty constant. So I had to get really present with me, but I did. And I started really listening to myself, and I started when my thoughts would go there, here's what he says in the workbook: turn your thoughts around about money and push them outside of you. Watch them dissipate. Are they real? I worked with myself just like he talks about, and literally within 8 weeks, I was a totally different space with money. I could actually, and you know what? It was funny as I was doing the workbook. I still kind of had this thing where if I do this workbook, money's going to show up. So, the first 3 or 4 sessions, I'm checking my bank account. Is it there yet? Is it going to fall on me? And by week 8, week 8 was when I realized, oh, this just changes me, and I'm the source. And that's when I started just choosing my face off. I'm like, oh, well, I am money. I can just go create now.
Wow.
So it's a deep, deep, deep transformation of where you function with money that only works if you use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so cool with the money workbook. It's the first 3 weeks that I did that, back in December.
Yeah.
Every time I asked, wow, what does money mean to you? Everything. It was everything for such a long time, and I thought it would never change. And one day it was just so different.
It just did. It just does. It just changes.
I know. How does it get better?
And now we've got PRs, NORs, and Norse lines. I'm oh my God, how much transformation can we actually create now?
Wow.
And then here's the thing about let me go into those little acronyms real quick for those of you guys watching that are new. Like a PR is a presumptive reality. So that's essentially what we create our life from, and why our life doesn't work in ways that we can't figure out, because we're functioning from a presumptive reality. It's a presumption. It's so much a part of the fabric of everything, you can't even tell that you would never question it because it's just true. So, and then the nors are the need of a reactive reality. So poverty is a reactive reality. Never having enough money is a reactive reality. Worry, stress, anxiety, you name it. That's a reactive reality. Anger, rage, fury, hate, blame, shame, regret, and guilt. Addictive, compulsive, perverted, obsessive points of view, love, sex, jealousy, peace. These are all reactive realities. But what holds a reactive reality in place is the need of it. So we're clearing out the need of reactive realities. And then the third thing that just popped up like last week is something called Nor slime, which is essentially like the artificially induced need of a reactive reality, where you just don't feel like you have another choice.
I've been drizzling that slime
on everything
the whole time.
Yeah. So what's happening is, as we're clearing these, around everything is immense amounts of space. And if you once you hit immense amounts of space, you have hit the beginning of all possibility for you. That's when it's time to create. So it's very exciting. Get me started.
Don't get me started. Yeah.
Nerd.
Oh shit. Oh, Crystal, no, how
Oh my
awesome.
God.
It's like, and another like energy that I'm just like, that goes along kind of with all of this is like, man, when you get over a lot of your stuff, it's like there's this elegance that you can be, that is no effort, no strain, no force, no resistance. And it's like, I completely recognize that in like everything that you do and be. So it's like, you must be asking, what energy can I be to be the elegance I truly be for all eternity? It's like, you must ask that, right? Of course you do.
It was funny when you brought up the word elegance, because I love elegance. I love the word. I love the energy of it. I love it. Sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, oh, that's so elegant. But I have to tell you, living in this body, I feel like an elephant. So like, so I'm glad that it communicates, because honestly, but here, let me gift this. Yeah. So Gary talks about elegance, and I'm going to butcher this a little bit, but essentially it's like the least amount of effort to create the greatest result. That's true elegance. And I have been a fan of that since I can remember. And I called it efficiency, I think. It's like, if I'm going to do something, I want it to have the biggest bang for its buck that it can possibly have. So, when I started doing my live show, I did it on Facebook, but then I just uploaded it to YouTube, and then I took the audio off and put it to SoundCloud, because I'm like, if I'm going to do one thing, I want it to be multiple places. So I've functioned from that for a long, long time. If I'm going to do a gift call, I want it to reach as many people as possible and have them invite their friends, because if I'm going to do it once, how can I have the greatest effect with this one choice? Wow. How can I build for now and the future? And when you function from that, you do build for now and the future. And I had to sort of teach myself some of this, but I think I came in with a lot of it, because I don't like wasting my time, and I don't like doing multiple steps for multiple things. I'm like, where are we? Can we get this more efficient? So to me, that's the elegance of creation, of like, how many different touch points can this reach with one choice? What one choice can I make that's going to move the needle, that's going to have the greatest effect? Now, I don't walk around asking that necessarily, but when I am looking at creating, like we're doing a Talk to the Entities book club that starts on Monday, I'm like, let's get all the hosts together. Let's get all the countries together, because I'm doing like 4 Talk to the Entities classes this year. Cool. So again, it's honoring myself, honoring my energy, honoring my time. And this is, I think, a key part of growing anything is like, what can you choose that will honor you, honor your cash flow, honor the future that you're creating, and grow everything with total ease.
Yes.
That's basically it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who do I sign up? Who do I sign up? Yeah.
There's so many places to sign up. Yeah, totally.
Very cool. Yeah.
So I'll actually just put the link. You guys, if you want to just go to the website, you guys, if you want to sign up for any of this stuff, because honestly, there's links everywhere. You can go to the tab that says new, you can go to the tab that says events. You're going to find all the things that you need to find for your life to work, well, according to me there. And Julie, you've got stuff too. Do you want to talk about what you've got going on?
Yeah, I've got a facelift class coming up on the 30th, and I'm doing.
Where are you in the world? You're Canada.
In Calgary. Yeah, in Alberta.
Calgary, cool.
Cool. And I actually just did a little interview with Ann Maxwell about the new intro. So would you teach a fish, like the new intro that all the bars like everyone can facilitate? But I'm doing that May 10th, and then a bars class on the 21st. So a lot of my like everything's like local live in Calgary at the moment. But
awesome.
Yeah, with my broken arm that is actually working again, I'm so grateful. Started taking like some more massage and like osteopathy clients, and I do like herbal consults too with people, and like a humanoid like love, it's like, and actually entertaining and discovering, what Gary's always said, it's like, what can you do that you think has no value because you think you can, because it's so effortless for you. It's like, well, yeah, for me that's like talking, it's like writing, doing copywriting, so kind of getting that stuff out there. But it's like, Crystal, I just wanted to go back to like what I just love that with your videos and all the stuff that you're doing. You know how Gary always says, like, you can't sell access tools, like you can't market this, but you can be the tools, live the tools, and inspire people. And like, that is the invitation. And it's like, even like all the videos I ever see, you're just so vulnerable and actually using the tools in your own life, which is like, this is like, that's amazing. That's just amazing. So yeah, just like recognize that I also do that too. And it's such an invitation for people, because then it's not this, anyway.
It's not bullshit.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is. It's not bullshit. Yeah, I mean, for me, I just never could talk about anything I wasn't using. It's literally, if I'm not, I just always had it in my world. I'm never going to talk about something that I'm not applying to my life. I'm never going to bullshit you into believing something that I'm not choosing. If I'm not choosing it, why, like, I don't know anything about it. So that was really important to me. And I think a lot of people do choose that. And I wonder what it would take for more of us to be willing to vocalize and, share the process, because it is I mean, this is, when I say it's a process, there's not even an end to it. Like, living is ongoing. So is money. So is all this stuff. That's not like there's a there is. So, I think a lot of us spend our lives thinking that we're alone, that we're the weirdest one, the most different, the one that nobody will understand or receive from. And what turns out to be true is that your difference is one of the greatest gifts you can offer the world. So, that's
what I love about all this. It's like, I know there's no answers, but if there was an answer, the answer would be bars. This question.
If there was an answer, this would be it. Yeah. So life-changing.
Crystal, thank you so much for the chat. And it's like, just how much, even when I asked you to do this, how much this question I've had completely different. It's gone places where it never could have without me asking. So I'm so grateful. So yeah.
I'm so grateful. Thank you for being you and everything you're doing and choosing. And thank you guys for watching. And if you know a person who would get a lot out of this conversation, just share it with them. Let's be generous with what we're finding and let people know that it exists. All right.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool.
Well, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, Crystal.
Thank you. See you soon, honey.